just announce their name and affiliation before we get going, or right after with questions, we'll be ready to go.
And I'll do my best to learn them as quick as I can. So, good morning, everyone. I appreciate you coming out, but I'll just open her up right away. And I know we got some of our coaches, our coaching staff here excited to kind of get going. And so,
Hey, Lance, Scott Jason, 24/7 Sports. Wanted to ask, I know you guys just announced some off-field staff positions, including a general manager, Rob Ainello. What does that position entail for you, and what's it like working over there?
Rob's going to work closely day in and day out with me on a lot of things of the really our whole organization. He'll be heavily involved in personnel, our recruiting organization process, evaluations, and being close with me, looking at the current roster and things. I think some of you are familiar with Rob's name from the past. He's well established in this profession. I've known Rob for 30 years, and I don't think he takes a back seat to anyone when it comes to organizing, recruiting, and day-to-day operations. He was my right-hand man at Buffalo. Was a very important hire to me at that time, and getting Rob here was extremely important to me again. And as I told him, selfishly, I need and want him in this position as much as being an on-field coach for what we want to get accomplished here and as quickly as possible.
Yeah, will you designate a recruiting coordinator too, or will you?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
We will, and start off. Chris Simpson will end up in that role as a designee on the on-field staff. But as we know in college football, there's so much now that goes on with so many other off-field positions. But Chris will be doing that.
Hey, Ben Smith, Orange Girl World. You've been here a few weeks now. Maybe you started to know your personnel a little bit. What do you like about the roster you're in?
Well, right now, as they went through finals and all went home, I really can't say. I got about 15 minutes with each guy, to be quite honest with you. But, had a chance, though, as I said, to visit, and some were even, departing quickly based on prior arrangements to this whole situation. I said, had short meetings with them all. Our assistant coaches have continued to reach out. It's been a long semester for them, a long year with a lot of different factors, COVID also. But this group's hungry, and they want to be successful. And there's a lot of outstanding young talent, and we've got a lot to get done here in a short period of time when they come back here in a couple weeks. So that's still the evolving process. That June is, as they say, is going to be crazy for I think everyone in college football again, as we get a chance to go out and interact, and people get to come on campus again, and. We're looking into a lot of ways to clone ourselves and do other things and be multiple places at the same time, but looking forward to build those relationships in a more personal manner as we go.
Well, thanks. Hi, Bahi Gregorian from the Kansas City Star. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, sir.
I know when you take on something like this, you have to be highly organized or it's going to swallow you up. I just wonder now that you got your staff together, what's the biggest emphasis of your time?
Well, that's a good point. The coordinators have done a great job of, as we say, blending our staff. I think that's kind of a way to get on the same page, X's and O's wise, and that's why having Andy and Brian here. They know me, and they've been able to disseminate a little bit of expectations within the coaching ranks. As we talked about Rob Ainello and his role, Michael Painter has come in as a director of football operations, was with us as well. So Grant Murray will be in player personnel. So those people have been with me on the day-to-day stuff. And then, we have people that have been in this office. Mike Ballmer as an associate athletic director. Again, and getting all those people to kind of educate us on the KU way of doing things. And so everybody's kind of got something that they're bringing to me on how things have been working. And I think we're making great progress with that in this time that the players are away from campus. Matt Gildersleeve obviously has a great role in this as our strength and conditioning coach, and he's been outstanding for us at the previous stop, and really getting to know players and bonding with them and instilling culture. And he does a great job with that, and he's going to be able to implement that because he's going to get the most time with this team in the summer. And again, the uniqueness of this timing of appointment, his role is more crucial than ever.
And what about your own day-to-day? I mean, how do you spend your time?
Well, we've been getting in early and leaving late, and everything else between we're thank goodness I've got an outstanding wife, and my children are back in town trying to look at schools and homes and do those things. But we're in early, and like I said, between the portion of meeting with the players before they left, dealing with the recruiting aspect of things, dealing what we're trying to reach out to players that have gone to continue that relationship. As we know, I don't really necessarily like the word recruiting your own roster. That you see that said a lot, but you make sure that you're maintaining and keeping the relationships needed, and that's going to be very, very important for us as we head into this. So a lot of different things as we consider to go. So as you go, what's my day like? It's we're in here before 7 a.m. and the next thing you know, a lot of nights it's like it's 7:38 p.m. and we haven't eaten dinner yet or barely had a lunch. So, but we know that's the way it's going to be.
Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports. How complicated is the job for any coach these days? With NIL and transfer and portal, and you got to re-recruit guys, even if you're not a new coach.
Yeah, it's becoming more complicated, and there's a lot of unknown territory right now, as we're seeing, and it's kind of a yet to be seen. And again, I don't think it's a secret that my steps along the way are probably a little different than most. Okay, and for us, and to kind of go back to the last question is the size of our staff here. Now utilizing everyone in the right roles and being connected in the right way is something that we've all been working on, and to make sure that we're going to utilize the size of this organization to its fullest. But yeah, it's definitely changing, and it will continue to be more complicated as we go along.
Lance, John Kirby with JDawsLand,
Hey, John.
Rivals.com. What kind of challenge does June present with getting players back, doing camps, maybe some official visits?
Yeah, extremely. Like I said, we looked into the cloning as kind of my poor jokes, is like, how many places can you be at once? And again, we go back to that, whether it be re-recruiting or what's important also is our players here. And I think many of you know as well is that, where we are scholarship wise and still under the 85 and making sure we're going to try to do what we can. Our coordinators have looked closely at, we've got the known and the unknown. We're relying on many of the staff members, and including Coach Emmett Jones has done an outstanding job, did a great job of, running this team in the spring and trying to take those things and evaluate it to what we want to do this coming fall. So trying to find the pieces, maintain, like I say, do official visits, get to camps, get our staff out there to continue evaluation and work on filling the 22 class. And of course, the 23 class is going to be so vital as well. So a lot of things going on and a lot of ways to get it done here. And it'll be a very busy month of June.
Are you going to work out guys, and how strange would that be?
Yeah.
That's never been allowed.
Yeah, it's going to be a new way. I think some of us that, like I said, there's probably going to be a few benefits as we go through, and sometimes our lower level coaching experiences might help us, because I remember as a Division II coach, you could try guys out. You could run them, you could bench press them and do things back in the day, and there's some of that. But again, as we go through this and timing that up, because we know many young men are going to want to get to different schools, and so again, that staffing component in our personnel department and recruiting department will have to make sure we're on top of those things as we go through.
Have you thought about what a workout might look like a combine thing, or what?
Well, I think we've had some initial discussions on that. I think we're going to probably solidify that as we get closer to the month, and where is that, and how many of those are you doing, you're going to be sometimes at the mercy of the young man's schedule and what time of day is it, and and as we know, these are great ideas and things that are going to try to help, but how many can a young man do? How many can he do within a week? What's going to be in his best interest in health? And there's a lot of logistical things, not just on our part, but that individual family and things that that'll be kind of going back to the question. I think we may we would be open 24 hours a day probably when people have want to stop in or have a chance to see our facilities.
Coach, Matt Tate from the Lawrence Journal-World. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I wonder with your staff, when the process was going on, the search was still happening, you hadn't been hired yet, do you talk to your staff at that point and say, hey, if I get this, I want to bring you? I mean, can you take us through how any of that kind of works? And does that make it easier to put your staff together?
We've had initial discussions at different times when opportunities presented themselves that each job is unique, I think, and fit, and that's what makes it difficult, because unfortunately not everyone is able to come, and there's different, whether it be geographical or other circumstances that come involved in this. But Andy and Brian have both been with me a long time. Brian and I have known each other really since we were kids, and but at the same time, I think as even my own family went through, the ups and downs and the unknowns of a search. Sometimes especially on this one, I probably kept a lot more to myself on this one because of the timing and the process. It went a little longer. That it gets to be unknown. What's really going to happen. So some guys, as we went through, but I'll talk about if this opportunity presents itself, do you have interest in being part of this? And we did in this case as well.
Yeah, and I wonder with Rob, I mean, lots changed since he was here last, but did you talk to him much about this place and his experiences?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I said, I lean on Rob on a lot of things, and again, not like you said, a lot of change through that time, but the pluses and even in his time and what this university, the department as a whole, the city of Lawrence, all those were. In fact, we were just talking, an hour ago, and he was talking about his house hunting searches and going, but he talked about how much of all the places that he's had to live, by far this was, his wife's favorite, and where, they love their time here. And I think we're all finding that out. But yeah, there's a lot of things. There are some consistencies within the athletic department. David Reed's been a great resource to us in compliance and things. He was part of the search committee, and I know Rob knew him and things like that. So some of the things that I'm going to rely on with Rob, he already has that established relationship with people. During the interview process, I brought Rob's name up, and people that had been here and knew of his work, his professionalism, and how he goes about it. You could tell that was a positive, and I guess to my favor, if a better way to say it. So I think there's a lot there that he's going to be a great resource, but also he's going to help me as we look to move this even to higher limits and what we can do and how to go about that.
He knows a few of us, so tread lightly there.
Hey, Lance, along the lines of the complications of sort of this era, I wonder how you've approached or how you will approach the matter of vaccinations for players, and what you'll suggest to them, ask them, tell them.
Well, most of that goes to the medical professionals, okay? But we are in the process of continuing the educational process to get them information and have doctors and our medical staff and people continually talking to them and, where that's at and hopefully as well with their families. But and then whatever their guidelines our athletic department and university and the community has, put out, then we will, work accordingly to that.
I assume that's complicated in the sense of you can't overstep or understep, but also you have a team environment that you would probably benefit from having full vaccinations. Is that is it delicate for you to know how to be more vocal about it?
Yeah, again, I think we go back to the medical professionals and let them talk about the pluses, and hopefully, for any of us that we're going through the process of choosing vaccination or not, that you ask questions and not just have yes or no. And okay, if it is a no, why don't you want to, and do you have are there some reasons there? Same way with doing it for yes. The parameters can be explained about what will allow us to be maybe totally mask-free, or what other parameters. But I mentioned, the university, our medical staff, all those people will make a lot more of those decisions than me. But I also know that at our last stop, I go back to Matt Gildersleeve, our head strength coach, did an outstanding job last summer of coming up with the right protocols for working with our medical staff to make sure that we could maximize the most of a very difficult situation last summer to get our players to train. And hopefully, and I know he's resourceful enough that he will work with the university and county and anyone he has to, health officials, to make sure that our players are safe, but also have a chance to have a great developmental summer.
Hey Coach, Sam Lance with the University Daily Kansan. Just going back a little on how this staff kind of came together, I was just wondering, what were some of the things you wanted to see from the staff members who were already here at KU in order to keep them on staff?
Their desire that they wanted to be here and be part of this was number one. And there's a lot of things there. Change is difficult for everyone. And to understand, though, as I told them, is, you're part of a new staff. You've taken a new job. You just get the benefit of not having to sell your house or find a new house or, change schools for your kids and do those things. But it's still something new. And do you want to be here? And that was that came through loud and clear. There's a lot of parameters and just in that part about fit. My role was the first part of the screening, and then when Brian and Andy came in town, that was the next thing to talk about. Okay, this is is it going to fit in the room? Is it going to fit for the players? And again, as the boxes were checked, and then again, that was kind of what went through of where we're at.
And building off that, how important was it to be able to bring some of the staff members who have been with you for a long time here? And could you just explain the benefits in doing so?
Well, I don't stand before you without them. Okay, and I think those that, if you have a chance to be around, I don't know. I don't know any other way to do it. This is the greatest team game there is, and part of being a team is also a staff being a team. Okay, and no matter how many years that the gentlemen that have come, like I said, I've known Rob Einella for 30 years. We worked together for 3 years. When I was a graduate assistant at Wisconsin, we worked 6 years together. Brian and I will be going on year 15. Okay, Andy and I on 9. Okay, Chris Simpson was part of our first national championship at Whitewater, and then came and wanted to work with Brian and I again after being at Eastern Michigan and some other places. I worked with Scott Fuchs for 3 years. We were assistant coaches together. So when I know those people, not just whether they're a good coach or not, I know them as people, husbands, fathers, and again, they know me. Jim Zabrowski was with us 3 years at Whitewater, and then joined us for 4 at Buffalo. As I said, the other good part is that a couple of these guys worked and moved on and then came back. And I think that also shows some of the new staff members that it was a good enough working environment and a chance to be successful and work within their own way of doing it, some coaching latitude, but also a good working environment that they want to be a part of. And so having those people, as we just talked about, all the complexities that have to go on, they have to be, the coordinators and the guys that have come with also have to be able to kind of spread the message about how I go about doing things as a head coach, how we go about running our program, what's our culture like, what's our expectations, the attention to detail and what our expectations are of coaches and players and support staff. So by having all those people here in on-field and off-field roles are going to be imperative for us to build this football program.
We have time for two more.
Having worked with him so long, what are the trademarks of a Brian Borland defense?
Geez, I heard Andy even. I don't know. You think, Andy?
Fundamentally sound.
Yeah. I think when you watch Brian, like Brian is going to be, you see Brian's not a man of, he's not going to have a ton of words, and no offense. He's going to be quiet. He's very humble. But I always say this, fundamentally sound. I've always been impressed with Brian, how he goes through game preparation. And he's always seen our second halves. I think when you go back and look at sometimes when we're playing good football, sometimes how well we play in the second half in close football games. And he's able to get a good read on things and go that way. So I'll let him answer some more of those. You put me on the spot with him in the room, you know. Was everyone there?
Cal Butcher from the School of Journalism. Prior to your accepting this job, what was your perception of the Big 12 conference football as opposed to the other Power 5 conferences?
I don't know. I try to, dive in. I've read Dennis's work and other people in national media and some of those. I try, when you're, probably more in Big Ten country and out east and stuff, to say you really dive into all those. Obviously, prolific offenses and spread offenses seems to be what's, what gets its most attention. But I still say when you look at some other programs that have built themselves up into some consistency lately, I look at maybe some guys that in this conference and their coaching styles, and maybe their ways through the profession that are maybe closer to mine, and I'd say Chris Kleiman and Matt Campbell. And when you talk about some things there about how fundamentally sound they are, the physicality that they play with on both sides of the ball, and how they go about it, and I think those are some parallels that way. So,
Thanks, everyone.
appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.